I've just bought a brand new budget Casio that people are calling the G-Shock killer. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Another day, another show on
Casio!
So, having a mooch on YouTube, as you do, I noticed a little show done by Dave at Just the Watch, a fantastic channel that reviews affordable watches. Anyway, he had a thumbnail of a picture of a Casio I hadn't seen before with the title G-Shock Killer. I was excited in two fronts. One, it was the chance to buy another new Casio. The wife loved that. And two, had Dave actually found a G-Shock Killer? Now, having had this watch for over 2 weeks now, I can say, in my opinion, it's not a G-Shock Killer, but it is quite a pretty cool new release. There are 3 colorways to this watch. I chose the negative display one. The reasons I'll tell you about in a minute, but watch till the end to find out why this watch isn't a G-Shock killer. And to let you guys in on a secret, I believe this watch here is a true budget G-Shock killer, 100%. Plus you'll get to hear what my wife thinks of this new watch. Are you budget G-Shock ready? Let's go. So here we are, the MWD-110H. This watch cost me £34 on Amazon, and you gotta say it does resemble a G-Shock square, doesn't it? That square looking design was made because it was the best way of distributing the shock if a watch bangs on the floor. Now, something you don't get with a lot of budget Casios.
Some stainless steel.
Yeah, we've got a stainless steel bezel. That's gonna give a little bit of added protection, no doubt. However, when the resin glass protrudes over that bezel, it's almost pretty pointless having a bezel. But like you'll see in many of the features of this watch, it's designed not to be as good as a G-Shock. Otherwise, why would Casio continue to make a G-Shock? We'll talk more about that in a minute. I chose the negative display reference for a couple of reasons. One, I quite like the animation better with a negative screen than with a positive one. And as negative displays go, the main time part is quite legible. The other reason why I chose this negative display reference, you've got little blue accents on the screen. Really do like that. This budget beater has got a 10-year battery life and has a water resistance of 100 meters. And peace of mind that you can take this watch pretty much anywhere and it will survive and keep on ticking. The rest of the case is a resin plastic, big chunky strap. I quite like the look of it. It's not plain, it's not simple. It does sort of have a G-Shock design to it. There are big ridges that sit on the case, so if the watch was to drop from a height, the strap would protect it and buoy it back up. It's not perfect. One thing I really don't like, this big ridge, that thing. I've had a strap like this before, and that little ridge not only pushes up the watch on your wrist, it leaves a horrible mark and it's quite uncomfortable to wear. More on that later. Anyway, we've got a great symmetrical button layout, 4 huge, nice big pushers with a big light button in the middle at the bottom. A big thing that G-Shock owners complain about all the time is how recessed the buttons are in the case. This is part of G-Shock's design. These buttons are nice and big, but they are so pronounced that they could get scratched or pressed in accidentally.
And heaven forbid you'd want to accidentally change the mode.
Let's go back to the screen again, and there are some really good and some really bad parts to this watch. First of all, the time at the bottom. I have to say it's very big, very clear and very legible. When you compare it to a DW5600 screen, the numbers are significantly bigger, but it's everything above that time that just looks squished. I mean, I like an animation as good as the next Casio freak, but unfortunately this time it's at detriment to all the numbers and everything above it. The balance just isn't quite right there for me, and if they took away that animation, I think the balance would be far better. The watch is powered by a 3517 module. The features included are first a countdown timer, and I like how the animation goes backwards as if it's counting time back. We have a stopwatch where the animation goes up, which is cool. We have an alarm, and we also have a dual time. When you're in the modes and you go to the stopwatch or the countdown timer, you'll see home time at the top of the screen. Unfortunately though, when you press start, the time goes and we have the countdown time in hours hours, and in the stopwatch we have 0. Presumably when we get to an hour, that'll say 1. Completely pointless in my view, and the time should still be there visible.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Now, one thing you've got to make sure of, if you're going to have a big button that says light on it at the front of your watch,
make sure the light is good.
we have an amber LED coming from left to right on the screen, and to be honest, it is pretty poor. Casio have decided to stop doing the electroluminescence on their budget watches. On my 6.5-inch wrist, and this watch does look quite good, doesn't it? Casio are so good at making retro, futuristic watches. It looks like something that was made 30 years ago, but it's not. What I don't like though is that strap, that big ridge at the start to help, I don't know, bend the strap down. I can just feel it. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't need to be there.
Why is it there?
The lugs do a good job at dropping down, and you don't really feel the 50mm lug to lug. But that strap is so bad. Look what it does to your wrist. That being said, I do think you get quite a few looks from across the street because that lovely brushed stainless steel bezel that doesn't protect the screen one bit is shimmering away in the sunlight. So there you go, the MWD-110. Is it a G-Shock killer? No. Does it look like a G-Shock? Yes. I've got 2 other Casios around the similar sort of price that do a good job looking like a G-Shock as well. The first one being the W218H. This thing comes in at half the price of £34. It has the same mode as an F91W. It's just as legible as this MWD-110. And I've got to say the amber backlight is a bit better. Yes, it's half the water resistance and probably half the battery life, but you stick a set of bull bars on this bad boy and this means business. The other great budget G-Shock Square lookalike is the WS1400. This is around the £30, has that square look to it, has 10 years battery life, has 100 meters water resistance. You've got your cool stopwatch functions on the front. Plus, if you look at the layout of this thing, it's quite similar to the MWD, isn't it? But because you don't have that animation, the numbers and letters aren't squished. And to top it off, the amber light in this thing is also stronger. But listen, we've got to talk about the king, haven't we? Because yes, it may look like a G-Shock Square, but it ain't gonna take the beating this G-Shock is, I tell you that. This MWD has a module that just goes inside a plastic resin case. That's it, that's all its protection. With a G-Shock, first of all, the module is cradled in a urethane rubber. So it's got rubber around the module before the module goes into the case. Then the module goes into the case, and the case part is plastic resin. But then that plastic case is shrouded over by a big rubber bumper, which gives it its square look. You get a mineral glass as opposed to resin plastic in your budget Casios. That hardened mineral glass also protects the module.
And we're not done there yet with protection.
The strap, when harnessed to the case, has a fixed lip, which means if you drop this watch, it will 100% help with the protection of the module inside. Now, I've seen this original G-Shock Square, the 5600, on Amazon recently for £60. I would rather pay £60 for a G-Shock original Square DW5600 than buy this one at half the price. The thing that you gotta remember, this is a G-Shock, this is a Casio that looks like a G-Shock, but definitely isn't. Whoa, wait, but there is more. See, I know a Casio watch that not many people talk about. It's around the £30 mark, and though it doesn't look like a G-Shock Square, it does have similarities to the likes of the 6900, and it's a far better buy than the MWD-110. I am talking about the TRT-110H. Mud resist. This watch is an absolute beast. First of all, it feels as heavy as a regular G-Shock, about 65 grams. It doesn't feel cheap. This is called mud resist because the buttons on either side are shrouded by a rubber cover, and in turn, these rubber covers help with any shock resistance. This watch has a 10-year battery life. It also has 100 meters of water resistance. It has the fixed lip straps that you only see in G-Shocks. And another huge thing, we don't just have have one LED light, we have two. Ice white LED, shining through proudly. This watch is a far better buy than this one. And if you did only have 30 odd pounds to spend on a watch, I would wholeheartedly recommend this bad boy. All the watches I've shown today are in the description below. The MWD-110 is a nice and attractive budget beater, but in no way is it a G-Shock killer. It's a G-Shock looky-liker. Here it is, my wife's thoughts of the MWD-110H. Can you stop buying Casios, please? It's not funny anymore. Surprise, surprise, it looks like one of those G-Shocks. Way too chunky, don't like it. I'm not sure I should give her a Casio ever again. Thank you so much for watching till the end. And if you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector channel, just click there and join, yeah. And if I've got you for a few more minutes, click this one. Oh God, this is superb. 100% my best show of that day. Go on, click it. It's great. Go on, click it, click it, click it, click it.